Okay.
All right. Well, hey, everybody that's watching right now, you are watching Stormfront Freaks Raw, which means you're just catching all the breaks and behind-the-scenes stuff and all the crap that we try to edit out later. But we are excited to have James Spann on this evening. So
we call this the pre-show. This is the pre-show, man. This is the best part of the show here. You share boring personal stories, humorous anecdotes, and this is where you say outrageous things.
We don't even have a green room, so No.
We save all that outrageous crap for the actual show.
Oh, okay.
That's probably the only difference. How soon do you guys go live, James? How soon are you guys going live before your actual showtime that you're recording?
On Weather Brains, we go 15 minutes before.
Wow!
It's a 15-minute pre-show, and that's the funniest stuff.
15.
Okay.
50. We were all
No. I'm sorry, 15. We go at
spent.
Yeah, we go at 15 after the hour. The show starts at 30 after the hour.
Okay.
So how many Twitter followers did you guys lose today?
Oh, that's right. They shaved them, didn't they?
Yeah, this was the purge day.
Yeah, it was purge day.
Was it really?
I didn't look.
I lost 12,000.
What?
Whoa.
What did I miss? What do you mean?
Yeah. We lost 15,000. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we still have the same 1,503 we had.
Did we really?
Started. So
you have no fake accounts. Then there you go. I feel sorry for some of these TV people have bought followers.
Yeah.
To make it look good on job applications, and it's very cheap to buy followers. And all that stuff they bought, they're gone. I mean, they're just flushed out today.
Oh, that was okay.
How did they determine what's fake and what's not?
I think they just look for the ones that were inactive for years.
Right.
And I think they sent out a direct message, is anybody home? And if they didn't get a response in one day, they just assume it's a fake account. And that they created it to sell to people that want followers.
Isn't that what burglars do too? Is anybody home?
That's right.
It's like you need the Ring app for that.
Yeah.
Something similar to that.
Get off my Twitter account.
All right. So are we? I was gonna say, are we gonna wait for Brady tonight?
Yeah, we got him this time.
He's on time.
He's not asleep.
Oh, get out of here. Last time I fell asleep. Give me a break.
All right. Do you have your mic, Brady?
Yep.
Tap it. Okay.
Yep.
You're good.
Sounds good. All right, cool.
Can you get it any closer to you?
Yeah, I can.
So you don't sound like you're in a cave? All right. So just a couple things. I think everyone's mic is good. Just a reminder, sometimes careful when you set your drink down on your tabletop or bumping your tabletop. I heard some drinks last show, and you guys didn't think I was listening when I wasn't here.
No, we
I
were.
was.
Like, Dad's not home, and we're making fun.
That's right.
Oh, we did the screen share. We did everything.
I saw that too. I heard. Yeah, Phil's not here. Let's just do screen share for everything.
Share screen.
You stalker.
Okay, mute your phones. You guys know how to mute your mics. You're good there. Keep your mic as close to you as possible. You got that. Everyone's heads on top of the screen. Good. All right, and let's get to the point on our happy hour. We got into some discussion last show. I think it was about 5 minutes long on maybe where Maz got his Coke from McDonald's or something. I don't know. It was somewhat entertaining.
That was riveting.
Trying to get sponsors, all right?
I'm still waiting. Phone hasn't rang yet.
Did you see the part I cut out?
All right. So here's what we're doing. So we'll go ahead and I'll open it up. We'll mention James. I've got a couple just brief news items. We'll get to happy hour. Then Dina, I'll turn it over to you to give James his introduction. And then it'll just be question and answer interview time. When we wrap that up, James will go to our lightning round, which is our game show of fun and brilliant questions with our guests.
Yeah, I'm not funny. I am not funny.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
I said
Guys
fun.
do the humor.
I said fun.
Yeah,
no,
you're
you're
gonna
gonna
love
Funny. You just have to have fun.
I'm dull as your left shoe
Okay.
you're wearing.
So anyway, so
like a fancy mic.
we'll see. We'll do the game show. When we're done with that, we'll take a break. So that'll be near the bottom of the hour, give or take. And then coming out of the break, we'll do our discussion topic. And then usually about top of the hour, we should be done. Is that okay for you, James? What's your time schedule tonight?
Yeah, I turn into a pumpkin at 9 Central, 10 Eastern, so I got 1 hour.
You
Okay.
got 1 hour. Okay.
All right.
We'll keep that. MJ can remind us how we're doing there.
I will
Okay?
keep you moving along.
All right. I think we've got, and Maz and Dina, Brady, I think I've got this set up. And again, James, I want to thank you for chiming in on your digital setup you have for your sound. I've been trying to get this little sound mixer to work, and I think I figured it out only by having two feeds. I've got
Yes.
one feed coming in one ear, one feed coming in the other. I think we're good.
Yes.
So you guys don't have to worry about, being, how I was before, like, hey, try and be quiet because otherwise I get cut out and all that stuff. Don't have to worry about that.
That was
Just
that
talk
comment
over me
last
all you
time
want.
about Phil always telling us to be quiet.
Yeah, Dina, that was you. Yeah, I'm used to Phil.
Man, he
Phil
took
telling
notes.
us to not talk over him all the time. It's
took
fun.
notes.
It's fun to watch when you're not there. But all right, MJ, count me in. We'll get started.
All right, here we go. Let's go in 3, 2, 1.
And that already didn't work.
Okay, I was gonna say, well, hey, my mic's
Wow.
on, right? Everybody.
Why did that not work before?
There it went.
All right. I don't know why that didn't
wanna try
work
it
before.
again?
All right, let's give it a shot again.
We had to start over again last time with Mass too.
I
so
know,
here,
that's true.
It's not bad. All right, here we go. Wow. Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
All right. Hey, welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device. This is the Stormfront Freaks podcast. If you are a first-time listener, thanks for checking us out. Be sure to go to stormfrontfreaks.com and access our library of previous shows. We got some famous guests from the weather industry on those. But tonight, this is episode 57, and we have finally decided to let legendary Alabama TV meteorologist James Spann through the gate as our guest tonight. So welcome, James. We'll be talking with him about a number of things, including his favorite topic, unified weather communications. And we'll really talk about if that's a pipe dream or not. And you got to stick around for our lightning round we have in store for James as he finally gets a taste of the freaks. And, of course, our WX Resources, Weather Fools, and always much, much more. But before we get to that, hey, I want to first off thank a couple of our listeners, Brett Epstein and Gabe Cox, for providing our new intro and outro music for the show that you'll actually hear beginning with this episode. So we've got those for you as well. So I just want to give them a shout out and a thank you. And if you are weather freaks like us, don't forget to check out all the latest weather-themed fashions and accessories at helicitydesigns.com. And while you're there, check out the exclusive line of Stormfront Freaks podcast shirts, hats, drinking containers. He's got new options that he's adding on a regular basis. But the key is you can get a 5% discount on your entire order when you use the code PODCAST at checkout. So that's PODCAST. Use that code at checkout. You'll get a 5% discount on everything in your cart. You can find that all at helicitydesigns.com. So, James, the way we introduce our team is it's always happy hour here. So we just have people step up to the Stormfront Freaks bar, and we're going to find out, MJ, what are you drinking there in wet central Minnesota tonight?
Yes, it is a little damp around here and a little hot too. So I have a smooth, refreshing Leinenkugel's Canoe Paddler, one of their summer offerings.
Canoe paddler.
Say that name again. Say that name again.
Leinenkugel's Canoe Paddler.
Lake
We say
water.
Lineys, but yeah.
Okay.
Lake water. Very good. All right, Maz. Hey, great job on moderating the show last episode, but you
That's not
drinking
what you
something
said,
other than a Coke?
I still have like scars from no.
What are you drinking, brother?
Okay, thanks. Hey, I got a Rheingeist Cougar because I've
Ooh.
reached that age. I'm just
Ah,
however you want.
Oh God.
Good. Well,
quite good.
Good for you. Good for you, Brady. What are you drinking tonight, sir?
Well, Phil, first of all, I have to say,
Oh,
you
you
said
got an
let
excuse.
James through the gates like he's been begging to get on our show since episode 1. It's an honor that he
Yes.
is on our show. Okay, Phil,
This is
it's an
true.
honor. I'm
It
drinking some
is.
white wine tonight, okay? I'm on a diet. You know, I'm sticking because I was just in Napa Valley. They told me wine was good for you, so I'm drinking white wine.
No, the funny thing is, it's taken us 57 episodes to actually invite him on. So that's clearly my fault. But that was the joke of like being fake gatekeepers because there is no such thing. But Dina, what are you drinking tonight?
Almost the same as Brady. I've got the wine thing today, Merlot, but I have been drinking for a little while, so
Uh-oh.
Well,
All
good
right.
for you.
I
Are you
started
working
early.
tomorrow morning?
All right.
I do work tomorrow.
You do. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well, we'll try and get through tonight. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you just keep it, and you can do a great job of introducing our esteemed guest.
Wonderful. Tonight we introduce James Spann. He is the chief meteorologist for ABC 3340 in Birmingham, Alabama. And all James has been a television weather anchor for over 36 years. Along the way, he's worked for WSFA in Montgomery, KDFW in Dallas, and 2 other stations in Birmingham. He is a multiple Emmy winner. James has received the 2 highest awards in the nation for broadcast meteorologists. One is the Broadcaster of the Year by NWA, and the other was the AMS, which is the award for broadcast meteorology. He's a panelist on the Weather Brains podcast, and he's also earned his first ham radio license at the age of 14 and holds an extra class license. So,
Nice.
James, kind of a slacker, man. But
Honor to be here.
I'm so glad because I mean tonight was even my night off. I'm like, no, I got to talk to James. But you were saying before the show that you have like an 18-hour day. So what's your day like when you come in?
Well, I think doesn't everybody on this show work long hours? I don't know anybody
Yes.
that works some
Yeah.
normal day shift. That doesn't exist anymore.
I do.
Not meteorology. Well, maybe him, but
Yeah. The core of the problem when I was young, like you guys, and by the way, I have underwear older than everybody on this show, which is, but when I was young,
Thank you.
all I worried about was being on television at night. And now, I mean, let's be real. Who's going to stay up and watch the late news to get the weather? Because where do they get it? Right here. And so this never turns off, never. And therefore, that puts us in a 24-hour cycle. And trying to keep up with that, you just sleep whenever you can. And on a typical weekday, I get up at 4:52, which is a little early for me. Maybe not for you guys, but
Yikes.
I get home at midnight. And
Wow.
well,
wait, you're getting up at 4:52 and you're going home at midnight?
Yep. And I need some time to wind down. I just can't go to sleep when I go
Right.
home. So I go to bed about 1:00 and get up at 4:52. And that's not working. It's not, I know something bad's going to happen on the back end here with this, but it is what it is. And to do this job right, you kind of have to be in that position. But in the morning, I do all the work at home. I've got a green wall, and I do a hit on the TV, commercial television from the house, and do the blog and the videos and all the digital stuff. And I still speak in schools every day during the school year.
Wow, every
And-
day.
Wow.
Every
That's
single
awesome.
day, sometimes 2 a day, because that's important. I mean, that is a win-win.
Nice.
I love kids; they energize me. I would be a 3rd grade science teacher if I didn't do this, and I love that. So that's energizing. And then you come up here and work the night shift. This job is like 1 to 11. So, but I get to do what I love, and if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. So I am very blessed.
Or
You know,
sleep.
I'm disappointed that you're not getting up at 4:51 and you're waiting until 4:52.
Yeah,
to
that's
actually
pretty
get up.
lame. Lame.
Well, let me ask you this, because I think it ties in, James. You're known to always talk about the role of the traditional TV meteorologist, and that role is kind of dying. So, working those kind of hours, what do you think that new frontier is if that traditional role is going away?
Well, I think for the young people, and a lot of, I'm sure younger people listen to this show that want to do meteorology professionally. Maybe they're in high school or college. I think it's an exciting time for them. it is changing like a meteor streaking through the night. It will never be Brick Tamland and Ron Burgundy, which is basically what we're still doing. I mean, we here we are in 2018. When I walk in that studio in an hour or so and do the late news, it's Brick Tamland and Ron Burgundy. But it will change into something that will be relevant to the next generation. The nice thing about what we do, everybody's got a screen. So our like newspapers, their whole platform's going away. That's not happening with us. But I think what we need to do right now is to build a loyal audience, a loyal following that trusts you, that understands you. They know that you're there when the weather's dangerous and life-threatening, and that relationship will pay off in the new world, whatever the new world happens to be. And we do know that phones are limited. I mean, come on. You've heard my term before probably, and I don't know what you call them, but most of these phone apps are crap apps. They're based on model output statistics. Nobody looks at it. They don't perform well. And at some point, people get fed up with that and they want to take it deeper, and they need somebody to talk them through active weather. And that's the purpose that we serve. And the need will always be there. So, and a lot of people, that they talk bad about this, the young kids coming up, the college kids. I think they're brilliant. I'm excited about this next generation. So I think they're going to do fine, but it will never, ever be the same thing I'm doing today.
Where do you think it's headed? Just all mobile?
Well, again, our model, most of my income is still derived from television. The same thing I've been doing for 40 years, 40 years this month on television. Oh. But having said that all these people that are watching these products and services on television are old, and they're going to die off in the next 10 to 15, 20 years. And I don't think that we're going to replace it with the younger generation because they use exclusively their phone, and that's fine. It's no big deal. They're just looking at it on a mobile device. But what's going to happen, we're going to have to take these blocks that we have, these 30-minute blocks, and turn it into something that's relevant to them. And it will not be what we do right now. It's got to be better storytelling. It's got to be, and I think the news people have to think out of the box as well. They got the same problem we do because people get news on their phones. And I don't have a good answer. Nobody has the answer for that. But what I think we have to do, and there's no way to monetize it, is to develop a healthy relationship with the world across every platform, whether it's social or whatever else. But that means spending time on the Facebag and the Twitter and Instagram and the Snapchat. And that's very controversial. Some people hate it and they don't want to deal with it. I do, because I think developing that relationship is important. And when you've got that big mass of people that follow you, they will carry over to the new format, whatever it happens to be. And again, I'm telling you, when tornadoes start flying, they'll find you. The problem we have is that tornadoes only happen even in tornado-prone markets like this, maybe 20 days out of the year. So what do you do on the other days? That's what we have to figure out. But I'm telling you, they will find you on those days when the weather is really, really active and really, really dangerous.
So obviously you've been in Alabama for quite a while. Where did you get, James, your national following? How did that start? Was that all social media mostly?
Yeah, it's odd. We started doing this podcast thing. What year is this? 12 years ago, 2006.
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
So we've been doing Weather Brains for 12 years. And what I needed was I desperately needed a creative outlet, because everything I do is really structured. And every human being needs a creative outlet. And I saw Adam Curry and some of these guys, launching some of these shows, and I'm thinking, okay, we can do this. And so I never intended on it to be something that people would actually listen to or watch. But I think part of it is that early adopter kind of thing on the podcasting side. And the other thing, it's the social media thing. And then where I'm in a tornado prone market, and there's a lot of weather weenies in the country that just love the sexy, severe thunderstorm, tornado type stuff.
Yeah.
They don't.
Hey, that's me.
They don't love people being hurt, but they love the science behind it, which is what we all, that's where we all are, I think. And so they are attracted to people that maybe work in places like Oklahoma City and Birmingham in these tornado markets. And I think that's part of it. And then we had a generational outbreak here in 2011. And again, a lot of people started paying attention to what goes on here after that. Mm-hmm. And that brought a lot of people into Weather Brains. And it's just, I don't know. I have no idea. But I think half the deal is being an early adopter on everything. Sure. Get in there early.
My lead up to that is you've won some great awards. You've got national following. My question is why? Because I'm sure you've gotten plenty of offers and invites. Why have you decided to stay in Alabama?
It's the greatest weather market in the world. I mean, I'm not in this to be in a big market. And the deal is, when I was 27, I was transferred to Dallas to Channel 4, KDFW. It's, top 10 market, one of the largest markets in the country. I filled in on the CBS Morning News. I did all that big market stuff. And it really didn't appeal to me. I love Dallas. I made some marvelous friends there that are friends for life. I cherished that, and I enjoyed my time there. But the diversity of what you get here in this market, it's second to none. We get the tornadoes and the severe storms, which is what we're known for. We get winter storms, ice storms.
Sure.
But the thing we also get is the tropical stuff. You get hurricanes and tropical storms, and having that diversity for somebody that loves weather, which is the reason I do this, it's just the best. So I look at Oklahoma City and Gary England and what he's done over the years. Gary doesn't really deal with tropical out there when he was doing weather. He didn't get that. You look at Tom Skilling in Chicago. He didn't get the tropical side of it. So I'm just blessed to be in a strange position to where you get everything. And that's the main reason I've stayed here. I think I was born to be standing in front of a green wall in Birmingham, Alabama.
Plus, it seems to be like you really have, and when you're in a local market compared to national market, it seems like you have a real rapport with the people you live with, pretty much, the people who live in your neighborhood.
Yeah. I talk a lot with Ginger Z about the differences, and, Ginger came from local television, and she's in that national position, and I'm in a local position, and they're both marvelous. There's advantages and disadvantages to both, but I do love having that where you're blended into the community, you're blended into the culture, especially when you've been here as long as I've been here. I'm old as dirt. Again, I started doing the weather here in the late 1970s, and you're on your third generation of kids, teaching them science in school, and it's just a marvelous kind of thing. And I look back on it and I'll think about the relationships and the friendships, and that's all very special. But again, the most important thing is when tornadoes start flying. They're going to turn to this channel, and they're going to expect me to be there in front of that green wall, look them in the eyes, and know exactly what they need to know. You cannot forecast the weather successfully on television if you don't understand the culture, the geography, and the people. You can't do it. Mm-hmm. And if you stay in a place for a long time, you can figure that out.
Now, do you have a green screen in your house?
Yes. My wife is very loving and forgiving. Chroma key green is puke green. It's just pure puke, nasty green.
Goes with everything.
Nobody in their right mind would put that in a home decor setting,
Where is it? Basement?
No, it's upstairs, oddly enough, not in the basement. It's upstairs. We built one more house. My next move's to the cemetery, but in this house, I've got an upstairs office with everything I need up there to do these kind of shows and to do television. I'm on television in the morning here, and it's great. And I've got AT&T gigabit fiber. The gigabit.
There you go. Nice.
The big
So how
pipe.
are you getting your weather graphics and things if you're at home?
I don't do traditional weather when I'm at home. There's still a meteorologist here in the building at the television station where I'm located now. They bring me in as the stooge. They bring me as the P.T. Barnum guy, because
I see.
What I do, I get so much content from people. For example, tonight, since we've been on the show, I've probably gotten over 200 pictures, 200 just since we've been talking here.
Really?
And I've got all this user-generated content. That's across all the platforms, not just Twitter, but all the other ones. And I'll take a lot of user-generated content and talk about it, maybe using it as a teaching moment, maybe using it, to explain something I've not been able to explain for a while, or to be just a wise guy, a knucklehead. So our morning show is kind of sanitized, and they're afraid to get out of the lines, and I don't care. I don't know anything about television. I don't know any boundaries, and I think people appreciate that. I've had no training in radio or TV or any of this stuff. My first major was electrical engineering. Anyway, they just bring me in as the knucklehead guy.
Man, you got the pipes though. What a voice.
Sure do.
Yeah, you sure do.
No. What you need to do is go to YouTube and search James Spann 1974. You'll see where I came from. I am from rural South Alabama. I mean, you don't even want to know where I was from.
You used to have the accent.
Have you ever heard of Forrest Gump?
Oh, yeah.
Forrest
Alabama.
Gump was from Greenbow, Alabama. I know the guy that wrote that book. His name is Winston Groom, and I'm on a board with him at a college here. And I asked him, did you pattern Greenbow after Greenville? He said, absolutely. Greenville is where I'm from. It's in the southern part of the state. But that 1974 video was horrible. I was in high school, and I sounded and looked like a greaser. And it's taken a long time, and it never goes away. You just have to kind of hide it. There's a fine line between, having your background and who you are show up, but at the same time, you got to be professional. So it's taken a long time, and I still work on it every day. It's a struggle.
So James, you mentioned your love for weather. Talk about that. Where did that come from? Was it an event? Was it, we always ask that question ever on the show.
Well, again, in the summer down there in the wood, this is a shocker. When I was growing up, we didn't have these. We had no Xbox, no PlayStation, no Fortnite, no nothing.
What did you do, right?
Yeah, it's a shock.
Electricity?
Electricity and water and plumbing.
Barely. But we just on the summer days we go play in the woods all day, and every day in the summer down here we have these air mass thunderstorms, which we still do. And I was fascinated. I just loved those things. I absolutely fell in love with them. So my first love of weather started with random afternoon convection. But I had one of those sentinel events in my life when I was in second grade down there. My father abandoned me and my mom. I'm a fatherless child. He walked out one night and never came back. He never said goodbye, have a nice life, or see you later. He was gone. Never told me he loved me. To this day, I don't know if he did. And so we would have to move, me and my mom. I bet you I'm the only child on this show. I have no brothers and no sisters. It was me and my mom, and we were broke and we were hurting. And she needed to finish one more year of college to get a job to teach, and they didn't make any money, but we had to do something. So we would move to Tuscaloosa when I started fifth grade. And Tuscaloosa is the weather capital of the universe. And I grew up as an older child in Tuscaloosa in the decade of the 70s, which was unstinking believable. I saw things that changed my life. The biggest was the super outbreak of 1974. And I was a senior in high school that year. And my hobby was ham radio. I mean, I was cool, man. I had a phone in my car in 1974, thanks to the magic of the old auto patch on the repeater. But there were no cell phones, and they had a desperate need for communicators to come in and set up ham radio gear. So they allowed me 3 days off from school to volunteer. And my first assignment was at a small hospital in a small town that was very, very hard hit. And for some reason, I don't know to this day why they did that. They put me in the emergency room. And the graphic nature of the people, the wounds of those that came in that night, I have never talked about it publicly, and I've never talked about it privately, not even to my wife. I had night terrors for several years, and I guess I had to experience that. I was 17 years old, and all of this stuff in the 70s really, really, really gelled it for me. But I still didn't know that it was a viable career option. But again, I think what cemented the thing was growing up in Tuscaloosa, Alabama in the decade of the 70s.
And having
ham
a cold
radio.
pulse.
Yeah, the ham radio. Ham radio was huge. I can't tell you the importance of that. It gave me some friends. I had no friends. I didn't know anybody. I was an introvert. I didn't trust people. Quite frankly, I hated people. The thing with my dad really affected me pretty heavily. But I made some good friends, started going to Ham Fest. My mom would get me there somehow. Sometimes I'd ride a bus. It was a different world back then. And I'd be on the nets every night working CW nets. I was a Morse code guy. And
oh, you were? Okay.
I was working those high-speed CW traffic nets, and I was doing 40, 50 words a minute.
Wow.
And got my extra class license when I was in high school. That got me into storm spotting. I took one of the very early classes. This is really before Doswell and Moeller and all the stuff we've had in the last 30 years. And that got me into it. So the ham radio thing was a very important part of that. And quite frankly, it's still a very important hobby today. I'm telling you guys, one day the EMP is going to happen. One day something's going to happen. You're going to pick up your phone and it doesn't work.
James, we've talked about this in the past. Ham radio operators, they're getting older. Is that do you think that's a dying breed, and what's going to be the challenge if it is?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if you look at the ham radio population, they're older. The young people now have cell phones, and I understand that times change. Look, they've got everything they need. They've got Snapchat, they've got all these things, and it's marvelous. But something will probably happen. It's never going to go away. and there are some young people in ham radio, not that many, but there are some young people. But one day we're going to have something. I don't know what it's going to be, some sentinel event, whether it's a nuclear detonation, whether it is an EMP, whether it's natural or man-made, and that's going to draw everybody back in, because you're going to realize that phone doesn't always work. And by stringing up a wire in your attic, a simple copper wire, and with some fairly inexpensive equipment, you can communicate with somebody in California, in China, in South America. There's a very sexy appeal to that. And still, to me, this day, it's magic. And I absolutely love it. So the hobby's never going to go away. There's a very strong organization, the American Radio Relay League. A lot of weather weenies have their ham license, and they use it extensively in the field. But it will survive, and it will be needed one day in a very serious way.
They have that a lot in the movies too, don't they? You know, when everything goes down, the ham radio operators are saving
the world. Everybody's going to be my best friend. They're going to come to my house because I got a radio that works.
Like James, we're coming over. I'm in Georgia. I'm not far.
When all else fails.
Now, James, everybody loves you when you have your own bobblehead and memes. Have you guys seen all these?
Oh.
They're amazing.
We're gonna have to see. So I need more memes.
Yeah, I don't know who makes this stuff. I have no idea. I have no earthly idea.
Someone's making money off your likeness.
They're funny.
Oh man, have you seen the James Spann is my homeboy T-shirts? Those things. I see. I was in Denver at a baseball game and saw some knucklehead wearing one. He came up and wanted to get a picture with me. I'm thinking, what is this? This makes no sense at all. But again, that's fine. To be successful, you do have to have a little bit of P.T. Barnum in you these days. And if they want to do that, that's great. I'm honored. There's a bunch of memes.
So listen, last episode we got into a discussion about the research pioneers like the late Tim Samaras and the Vortex Project, and the conversation was a little bit about what's the future of tornado advanced warnings? Can it get better than it is now with more data? And can we ever get to a point to where we can tell a town or a community with enough notice to even possibly evacuate to get out? I mean, can we get better than where we are now?
That's a social science question. That's the question I have for the social scientist. How much lead time is too much lead time? Because if you give people too much lead time, they might do something that's a bad choice. I don't have the answer to that. That's going to come from the social science side of it. But I'll tell you guys right now, this is where we desperately need help. And for these large, violent tornadoes that are killing most of these people, the physical science is pretty darn good, thanks to these brilliant men and women in this science that have over the years. And a lot of you know that one of my mentors and one of my heroes is Chuck Doswell, and Al Mohler. And I still miss Al, and I just loved hearing him talk. And I got to know him when I was in Dallas. But my challenge to those men and women in it now, in the research side, I need some help with EF0s and EF1s. These we're not that good. It's whack-a-mole. It is absolute whack-a-mole, and those things can hurt people and they can kill people. But if we try and catch them, the false alarm ratio goes so high that it will ruin the system when we have that big EF4, EF5. And I will tell you what happened here in 2011. And again, on that day, just for those that don't recall the day, we've had so many, fairly big events. In my state alone that day, we had 62 tornadoes that killed 252 people. And these were precious people that died. And one of the things I'm trying to do in my old age, I want to memorize the names of all of them. I'm about halfway there. But listen, y'all, that was easy. From the physical science side, issuing warnings for those tornadoes was pretty darned easy. Any third grader could basically look at what was going on here and see that these were supercell storms, and you could see the hook and you can see a debris ball. And this was before, we had dual pole here, but it was not that hard. The problem we have, it's on days like we had last month. An EF1 tornado hit a mobile home in a community north of here, and we're very lucky that nobody was killed. That it could have been very easily, but the tornado did not have a warning. And if we try and catch those things, all of a sudden it is whack-a-mole. You warned for this, you warned for that, you warned for this, you warned for that. That forces me on television because there's a very aggressive severe weather market. And before you know it, people are just lulled to sleep. They hear warnings all the time. Nothing ever happens. And they won't do anything. It's the cry wolf syndrome. So I need help from the research side on dealing with EF0s and EF1s. How do we handle that? My opinion now is that we issue severe thunderstorm warnings for them and mention in the text of the warning, this storm is capable of producing a small tornado that would not last long. And be aware of that. You want to go to a safe place anyway. But I still think we can advance it further. And we're down here in the land of QLCS tornadoes. It's a nightmare, total nightmare. Many of these things are late at night. They're low topped, literally under the radar. They last for maybe 1 or 2 minutes in a line. The signatures are weak and ill-defined, and we're just not that good. And we have Vortex Southeast going on right now, which is a marvelous project, and we're hoping that some good will come out of that for the practitioners like me that will help us in the future.
Tell everybody about Vortex Southeast.
You know, our tornadoes are different. And all the research over the years has been focused on Oklahoma and Kansas, and it should be. That's the weather world capital over there. You know, Norman is the weather center of the universe, and that's great. But those are drier storms that are low precipitation. The air mass is much different. Down here, we have the HP storms that are typically rain wrapped, and we have tremendous impact with orographics, with terrain. We are in the southern end of the Appalachian Mountains here. A lot of people don't know it. In our state, our peak elevation here is 2407 in the northeastern part of the state. What role do the mountains have with the storms in terms of strengthening them, enhancing the updraft, responsible for dissipation? All these questions we have. So for a series of years, we'll have teams in from Oklahoma and SSL, from UAH, which is the organization up in Huntsville that's kind of, coordinating things here, to study these southeastern storms. What makes them different? What makes them intensify rapidly? Why do they fall apart? Why does one supercell produce a tornado and another one does not? And we're going to get a whole bunch of answers, I think. It's going to be a few years before it all comes back. But again, as a grunt, as a guy down here in the trenches, I'm very excited. I'm on the steering committee, and I go to a lot of the functions, and some of the men and women are just brilliant that are working on this project, brilliant researchers, and I can't wait to get the data back.
Maz, save that question. We've got Karen Kasiba coming on here in a few episodes as well, so she'll have some good insight on that. So let's do this. How can listeners find you and follow you on social media, James? We'll try and get some of those followers back for you.
Yeah, my feelings are crushed. I lost 12,000 Twitter followers today, and the purge, the Twitter purge.
The Twitter purge.
I saw that movie.
Yeah, they deleted all these fake accounts today, and so anyway, on my, it's just my last name. It's Spann with 2 N's, SPANN, and on Facebag, it's facebook.com/James Spann. You can go to facebook.com/Spann, but that's my just profile. But all the content's on James Spann. And on Instagram, it's SpannWX, and on Snapchat, it's SpannWX. And you'll see you'll see a hodgepodge of content over there.
You have the best feed. I follow you on both Facebook and Twitter, and you have the best videos every day.
Well, people send me this stuff. I'm basically an aggregation type service, if you will. I take all this input from people, and I try and put out the best material that I've got and received from them during the day. And, I just get I've got some followers around the country, and some of the stuff I get is just stunning. It's just really, really good stuff. But yeah, and you'll get goofy stuff too. The Instagram thing, the song of the night, that's my favorite. We do that every night. And again, I've got a nightly creative outlet. After my little weather segment, I go wild. So there you go.
Weather gone wild.
Late night with James Spann. All right, well, hey, it's time for our lightning round. This is our game show of brilliant questions for our guest.
See, if I don't know the answer, I'm blowing the fog.
Right.
There you go.
Fair enough.
See, I've got my Weather Brain soundboard. I was not going to touch that, but
good.
We like it though.
Well, I'll tell you what. We always invite everybody to play along as we play this. But James, tonight with you. Because obviously you've been in Alabama for many years, having to warn the public of approaching storms and forecasting what their weather's like. You got to know Alabama pretty good. So tonight we're going to play a little Alabama high or low. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some scenarios or some locations. And I'm going to give you a number, and all you have to do is explain, is the number I just gave you, is the real number higher or lower? Because I'm not going to give you the correct number. Does that kind of make sense? You'll pick up here on this very first one. I'll tell the freaks they're more than welcome to kind of play along here as we go and maybe give you some advice. But they don't live in Alabama, so I don't know if I would trust them or not.
What's the prize, Phil? What's the prize?
So,
Yeah,
and James,
what do you win here? I mean,
you win with us. You win pride. You win a lot of pride.
yes.
if you do well.
Nice.
That's
get a
what
cougar.
it comes down to.
I have a $1.20 ruler right here. I could send.
So the first one here's the first one, James. So the number of Waffle House locations in Alabama is, I'm going to say 300, but is the real number higher or lower than 300?
Lower.
It's
Wow.
actually higher.
Wow.
There's 381.
Wow.
381 Waffle Houses in
Wow.
Alabama, and it's the state that has the most Waffle Houses, by the way.
Wow. You learn a lot on this show.
There you go. Nothing about weather, but
We
you
do
learn
too.
a lot about other things. Okay,
All right.
here we go. Next one. Number of Whataburger locations in Alabama. Whataburger. I'm going to say 20, but is the real number higher or lower than 20?
Ooh.
It depends on what markets they're in here. I would say the number is higher.
Oh.
Yeah, that is incorrect. It's
Whataburger
actually 16. I love Whataburger.
It's so good.
But we
Whataburger
don't have them
is
up
good.
here in Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I'm learning more about this state on this show than I've learned in.
Okay.
mean,
Very good.
Because I've only seen
We'll keep moving
Whataburger in
on.
Florida.
Yeah. Saving grace. Number of Walmart supercenters
Ooh.
in Alabama.
It's just high.
I'm gonna say 150. Is it higher or lower than 150?
Lower.
Yeah, I'm going lower.
That is correct.
Oh.
Yes. 101. There's 101 Walmart supercenters. All right, here's the big one. All right, number of Dollar General stores in Alabama. I'm going to say 475, but the real number is higher or lower than that.
That would be probably lower.
Wow.
Are you serious?
Listen to this. James, your state has 675 Dollar General stores.
Wow.
That's horrible.
I bet you I'm
look at
the
map,
only guy that's been on
Fuck up
this
the state.
show that's been in the Dollar General in Gordo, Alabama. I have been in there. That is the greatest place to do social science work. If you want to know how the warning process is working and how you're doing, go into
Talk
a
to the
Dollar
10
General.
people. Talk to the
Yes.
10 people that freak
Yes.
Dollar General.
Nice.
It's like Cheers. And Norm walks in. It's like, Norm.
Hey.
All right. Three more left here. Number of Chick-fil-A stores in Alabama. I'm going to say 75, but is the real number higher or lower?
Higher.
Very good.
Oh,
It is
nice.
80. 80 Chick-fil-A's. This one might be close to your heart. Number of Radio Shack stores in Alabama. I'm going to say 20. Is the number higher or lower?
Lower.
Very good. It is lower. Down to 8. There's 8.
I thought, aren't they
Going
out of
down.
business?
Yeah.
I thought they were.
Well, I think they restructured.
Restructured based on
Which is
Toys
why
R
there's
Us.
eight.
They need to put it in a Dollar General store.
All right.
Exactly.
The last one. Here's the last one, and I haven't heard of this, and some of you may have, but the number of Milo's hamburgers.
Oh boy, that's
Number
a
of
good place.
Milo's hamburgers in Alabama. I'm going to say 14. Is the number higher or lower than 14?
Higher.
It is
Nice.
15. You got it.
Oh, wow.
What's Milo's? Someone tell me what
kinda-
Milo's is.
I don't know.
So you guys heard of In-N-Out Burger in California?
Yes.
Oh, I love In-N-Out Burger.
It's kind of the same thing here. It's a local chain and it's awesome. It's very good. Of all the burger chains, I'd say my favorites, and I probably shouldn't say this on here because we're not supposed to endorse anybody, but Whataburger and Milo's, they're awesome.
There
you go.
okay.
There you go. Well, great job, James. Appreciate it. Well done on that. We're going to do this. We're going to take a quick break. If you're listening to the audio podcast, you'll get to hear the Titan U Minute with Chris Sanner. So stay right here. We'll be back with James and the Freaks to discuss if we'll ever have unified weather communication across government or media, or if it's all just a pipe dream. Very
All
good,
right,
James.
we're in
Thank
break.
you for
Cool.
That was
first
great.
one.
Hey, James, I got a quick
Hey.
question from one of our viewers, and they're still watching. This will be on the raw part. and they were asking, do you ever get, when you talk about the importance of informing the public and that they're going to find you on a TV when the bad weather happens? Do you ever get the people who come and say, "What the heck are you doing?" because you're interfering with The Bachelor, or your wedding?
Oh,
Do you see that?
Oh, God.
You get that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
My
30 minutes.
goodness. I cut off an NBA basketball game on
LeBron.
Christmas Day.
Oh, boy.
Christmas
Oh.
Day. This was 2.5 years ago, and the first email I got said you should have been aborted by a coat hanger.
Oh.
What a jerk.
Wow.
Welcome to the world we live in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Thank you.
I've seen you call out those people on Twitter. So
Yeah. So
I
very
did
good.
with me and to survive, you've got to have a little sass. And if you hate on me, you better be able to take it.
yeah.
I'll typically take one choice hater and just retweet him or pass it on to the world,
Ah,
and I'll
That's
let
great.
the world deal with him.
That's great.
All right. Hey, James, can you give us a little sound bite? Can you just say, hey, this is James Spann, Chief Meteorologist, ABC 3340 in Birmingham. You're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. Or
All right,
whatever title you want to give yourself with all the 8 billion. You can say Emmy Award winning
Yeah.
legendary weather monster.
Just doofus.
Yeah.
Doofus. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Hey, this is James Spann of ABC 3340 in Birmingham, and you are listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Well done. Good job.
absolute pro.
Wow.
one take.
He had to,
He's a pro.
that's the way to do it, is to slow it down and not try to say that.
Exactly.
Stormfront
Exactly.
Freaks. Yeah, we
So
have
we're,
people
we're
that
gonna
don't.
we're gonna need to change our name. We need more blooper reels. We're not getting any blooper reels in
We're
the
not
past
getting
couple
enough.
shows.
We're not getting enough. All right. Let's do this. We'll keep rolling so we can
Yep,
get as
so you
much
get out
of
of here,
James'
yep.
time as we can. So I'll bring it back. I'll introduce James, your favorite unified weather messaging topic, and what's gone wrong and how do we fix it, all that stuff. And that's open discussion for anybody and everybody that wants to join in on that. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. MJ, count me in.
Here we go. Let's move it
You guys on
along.
an intermission here. This is cool. We don't do intermissions. We just keep rolling. This is awesome.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
All right, I'll tell you what, we would be remiss to have James Spann on the show and not talk about unified weather messaging, which I know is a hot button for him and many others. But the challenge is competition right now for viewers, subscribers, clients, all of that. It's created an environment in commercial and media weather where right now everyone's trying to outdo or upsize the other, which is creating this spectrum of different forecasts, warning terms, and of course, good old clickbait. So no one is saying the same thing anymore, and it's creating more confusion and hence more risk to the general public. So my question, James and Freaks, is really first off, why has this gotten out of control?
I think it's pressure in a lot of cases to bring in ratings and revenue and to be different and to be first and to be best and to be most aggressive. And I'm afraid we're going down a really bad path. I can prove it. I can prove it from social science studies that inconsistent messaging from station A, B, C, D, the Weather Channel, AccuWeather, your phone app, inconsistent messaging during life-threatening weather. Forget the normal day. Forget that. That's fine. But on life-threatening days, tornadoes, inconsistent messaging and confusion leads to inaction. And inaction will lead to a higher mortality rate. We'll have more people killed. And as a weather enterprise, we've got to stop this madness. We've got to stop it. As influencers, we need to come together and not say it in the same way, but communicate the same message. And I think we can maybe just start with call to action statements. How about that? There's a tornado warning. You're in the polygon. What do? You turn on one channel. They say, if you're not underground, you won't survive. You turn on the next channel. They say, get in your car and drive. You turn on the next channel and they say, you need to be in a small room on the lowest floor. What in the world is Joe Q Public supposed to figure out? And people say, well, people just watch one channel. No, they don't. We've learned that people click around. They're looking, that they will surf the channels looking for somebody focusing on their neighborhood or their community. And let's start with call to action statements. Can we do that? Can we come together as a weather enterprise and we all communicate the same message? I think we can. Some people say it's never going to happen. I will challenge that. I think we can do that. In fact, we're going to work on that at the NWA meeting in St. Louis here toward the end of next month with some influencers, and I think we can start. Let's just start with that. But then you go beyond that with all these severe weather indices, and you know the Torcon thing. It puts a bug up my butt real bad. And if you've heard me talking about this, and it's nothing on Dr. Forbes. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. I love Dr. Forbes. People say, what's the problem with Torcon? You watch the Weather Channel and he gives it a 7. So I get all these emails. What's the Torcon? I have no idea what that means. And so but what these stations might do, well, if the Weather Channel's doing one, we're going to do a DEFCON. And ours is going to be a bigger number than his. If he's doing a 7, we're going to do an 8. Or we're going to do a 12 or a 15 or an 18. And then everybody's got a different number. And what in the world does that mean? We've got to come together on outlooks prior to an event. And the warning process itself, I am telling you guys, we're headed down a bad path. I can see it coming one day where individual stations are going to be issuing their own watches and warnings, individual cable channels, individual entities, where they think they're smarter than, Rich Thompson and John Hart at the SPC. We're going to do our own watches.
Aren't they? Aren't some already doing that, James?
Yeah. And I'm not going to, I'm not, and again, my objective is not to call out anybody here, and understand for those that are doing some of these rogue things, their bosses make them do it. Yeah. My boss might come in here tonight and make me do something I don't want to. And my choice just to leave or to stay and to do it. And, it's hard. But so the corporate owners have to be involved in this as well. But there's clearly some markets where they're doing their own warnings and their own watches right now. And Lord have mercy, if Channel 11 has a tornado warning for my neighborhood, Channel 8 doesn't have one, Channel 6 does, Channel 4 kind of has us on the line. It's more confusion. So in my opinion, the severe weather outlooks ought to come from SPC. Nobody likes the wording, slight. I don't like that. Nobody likes that. But you can use numbers. However you communicate that, let's use that. I think that the severe weather indices, goodness, we've had STP for how long? And again, that's a Rich Thompson and John Hart product. You can see how the sausage is made. The math is on the SPC website. It's a darn good formula that's worked extremely well during violent tornado outbreaks here. Why can't we use that as a weather enterprise? Instead of having a proprietary deal, I can see some stations sitting around a conference room eating Subway sandwiches. We're going to do a 6 or a 7 or 8 today. What's it going to be? I don't like that. And here's the other problem too. And this is a big thing in local television, and it drives me nuts. And I'm so thankful we don't do it here, but we might have to one day. Weather stations will declare a weather alert day, or a weather emergency day, or a weather action day, or a code red day. And all the buzzers are going off and the little flashing lights, and the station website changes red. And they're doing it for days with fog. They're doing it with days where we might have a breeze of over 10 miles an hour. Nothing to do with severe weather, but they're learning that this might enhance their ratings if you declare a weather emergency day. But that's going to burn people out. They'll be so sick of this stuff, and I don't like that. So
Maz,
we got to head this off the pass.
Well, and I was curious, Maz, what you've seen or what you remember seeing. Were multiple stations doing different things, or was the station you were working at trying to focus on something to set them apart?
Excuse me. I'll tell you, it started in the news departments where everything eventually became breaking news.
Yeah.
And then the weather department gets sucked into that, and the powers above, like James is saying, hey, you're gonna say it this way, or you're gonna hit the highway, and that's what happens. So we were starting to see that. Well, we've been seeing it. It's just white noise now. And I was sitting here thinking as I'm listening to you, James, and I'm not trying to blow smoke here, it's going to take somebody like you that's going to start a grassroots movement to get first on a local scale to buy into the national. So it's coming from and then it goes to the state level, not legislature and anything. It could, but I'm just saying it'll almost have to be a social peer pressure thing where we follow the blah, 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 blah guidelines. And just like, we're a weather ready nation, and hey, I want to be a weather ready nation. I want to be part of that. And I see somebody like yourself starting that. It's going to start small, and it's going to build wildfire across the country. I really do.
Well, and it's going to take a group of us, of influencers, and that's what we're doing in St. Louis at NWA. We're going to have, and this is not in the program you're going to get if you're going to NWA. It's by invitation only, but we've hand selected some people that we think can come together and make a difference. And these are people that work for cable outlets and people that work for local channels and people that have different owners and start that grassroots movement. And I honestly think we can really accomplish some good. So I'm very excited. We were going to do it last year, but a stinking tropical system came up and ruined everything. So, but we're gonna do it again this year.
And that's not going to happen this year.
Well, yeah, they've got NWA in August. I mean, come on, man. You know what's going to happen is going to be a Category 5 hurricane in the Gulf down here.
Yeah.
But if we can make this thing happen, I think it will start that. And most meteorologists, most practitioners on my level, we want to do the right thing. As I talk with people, they're under this pressure. And you're exactly right. It started in the newsroom with breaking news. Some guy steals a Twix bar from a 7-Eleven. Breaking news, we're starting tonight. And I said, come on, man. I mean, this is insanity. And it's these consultants. And,
But unfortunately, I think it's all going to start with a tragedy. It's going to take a tragedy for people to get their head out of there, and come on board and say, this is it, because you hit the nail on the head with the word pressure. Because I think in the meteorology community, people do want to do the right thing. And meteorologists are really doing the best forecast they can. They're looking at the National Weather Service. They're looking at the Storm Prediction Center. But it's the people above them putting it down to them saying, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to hype it. You got to hype it. And let's make everything a big deal. And then people get complacent and they get confused. I just think that when you said the word pressure, that is exactly right. Because if they don't do it and they're in a contract, they're going to be hitting the highway and they're going to get somebody right out of school. Not to say they can't do it, but they're going to lose all that experience because they will do exactly what they are told.
Right. And I work for a big company, and they have been marvelous to leave me alone. And I am so thankful for that. But I know it's not that way everywhere. Mm-hmm. And that pressure is something we need to get off these people. And I think and people say, well, what do you do? Well, you can't police this, but I do believe the national organizations can step in to help us, specifically the AMS and the NWA, especially the AMS. The gold standard in my business in terms of certification, it's the AMS CBM, Certified Broadcast Meteorologist. This involves your academics from college. This involves your performance on air, your content. It involves a rigorous written examination. This is like our bar exam. I do believe that if somebody goes rogue and starts to issue their own warnings, or they just totally go way out of line, there needs to be some penalty to where that's actually taken away, or maybe they don't have the ability to get that.
But if it's coming from their boss, James, if it's coming from the boss and not them, are you penalizing the wrong person?
Right. That's the thing. Probably so, but still the boss should know, all right, well, if you want your guy here to have a CBM on the air displayed, you better lay off of him. And I think there's enough of us that have been around for a long time that have the ability to do this. And I know a lot of people in this business. So I can go to some of these ownership groups. I'll be glad to speak with any of them. And there's some pretty good owners, not all of them. There's some foul balls. I mean, but I would like to try and come up with a win-win-win-win for all of us. And the meteorologists, the practitioners down here, we want to do the right thing. I know a very few true rogue meteorologists. There's one or two probably, but anyway, that's something that's very important to me, because again, what happened here 7 years ago, 252 people died. One of the reasons was confusion, high false alarms, inconsistent messaging. And there's a lot of other things too. Siren dependency. I could go on and on about that, but we can work on this confusion. So the first thing we're going to try and tackle in August is the call to action statement. And I don't even want to deal with map colors. I've given up on map colors, because if you turn in every station in the market, they've all got different colors for watches and warnings. Even across NOAA, the colors are different on their social media feeds. I've given up on that. But let's just start with the call to action statements. Can we agree based on engineering? We're going to bring in some of the best engineers, like a Tim Marshall. I don't know if you guys know Tim. Brilliant engineer, meteorologist. let's get the call to action statements right across NOAA and the broadcasters and EMs, everybody, and let's agree on that. And if we can agree on the call to action statements, we're going to tackle everything else. We got a lot of work to do, and that's what energizes me, is fixing all this.
Is one of the problems, though, James, of pulling all that together is you got two different races going on. You've got the National Weather Service and NOAA, a government entity, and then you have all these private entities that can make decisions and make changes a lot faster than NOAA and the National Weather Service can. There's two different races going on, so if you're trying to get people on the same page, is how do you fix that challenge? How do you win that challenge?
The first thing you have to determine is are the National Weather Service call to action statements valid? Are they giving good advice? Are they excellent? And if not, let's get them fixed, and let's get them fixed now. And Dr. Ussolini is on board with this. He understands the urgency of this, and I don't think it's going to take them. And quite frankly, their call to action statements are not that bad. If you look at them, are they perfect? Nope, but they're not that bad. And let's take those and see if we need to make any changes based on engineering understanding. And again, I'm not a mechanical engineer, but let's look at those that understand the damage and the safety elements. And let's get the Weather Service standardized on the call to action statement. And let's all agree as broadcasters and EMs and everybody else to use the call to action statements and not go rogue. Not to tell somebody to go drive, not to tell somebody the biggest thing I'm hearing now. People say, well, I hear you've got to be underground to survive a tornado. And that's not true. It's not true. It might be in 1 out of 100 cases, but you can't play those odds. And people can't dig a hole, and most people don't have underground shelters. For most people, if they're in a lowest floor in a site-built structure in a bathroom or a closet or a hall, they're fine. And so we've just got to fix that and come across with a standard message.
Hey, James, I was just sitting here listening and thinking maybe it has to go to the general managers. And so maybe our station is part of the UWI network, where that's uniform weather information across the board. And then they have something else that they can say, yeah, we're part of whatever that is.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, and I will say I do have I've got a few little cards I'm holding. The National Association of Broadcasters is interested in getting involved. The FCC, I don't like going down that FCC path. I'm not a big government regulation guy. I don't like that. That could open up a whole new can of worms. That is a slippery slope. But I think if the NAB gets involved, that could be very important. And, we're always going to have rogue people on the internet. Goodness, we can't do it. As broadcasters, people that are doing what we do, we can fix this. And with the help of the AMS, NWA, NAB, other broadcast trade groups, I think we can make that happen. The NAB could play a huge role in this by having some type of standard the TV station should be adopting.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'll tell you what, we always ask people, let us know what you guys think of the subject. You can email us at questions@stormfrontfreaks.com, or you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram and tag us your thoughts so we can share it on our next show. We're going to go ahead and take our final break. You can refill your drink. When we come back, it's time to share some WX resources and find out this week how you can prevent weather fools. All right, James, thank you very much, sir.
Wow, that was
Thank
great.
you, James.
Great
Thank
job.
you, guys.
So much fun.
Yeah, that was a bag of hot air. Y'all have a good week. Thanks a lot. Enjoyed it.
All right, good night.
Have a good one.
Thanks,
Okay,
James.
bye-bye.
Good night.
I'm out. Bye-bye.
All right,
Well,
so
it's
Dina,
10,
you
it's
glad
10.
you joined us?
Yep.
Yes.
Turned into that pumpkin for sure.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad, because as soon as I heard that he was coming on, I'm like, I gotta get on this, even though it's not my, my
Good.
week. It's worth losing sleep to talk to him.
Yeah, well, and at the end, I was just like listening. I was like, man,
Oh, I
Yeah.
know.
I don't even want to open my mouth.
I know.
because
I
he's
was
got
like,
too
I'm
much
just gonna
information.
shut up and let this man talk because he is smart. He's a smart
When he
guy.
said pressure, though, that really rang a bell for me, because that's
Really?
what I hear in every place I've ever been.
which just sucks. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like all these television stations, they just care about their market. They don't care about they
Well,
don't care
because
about
those guys will be gone too. The
Yeah.
news directors and the station managers, they'll be out on their what too.
Yeah, it's a transient market where literally people. I mean, that's another problem, right? Is we have people now. Your chief meteorologist isn't staying there for 10 years anymore. He's
Right.
getting up and moving. Your news director's getting up and moving after 2 years, so they don't care about the consequences.
They don't care. They'll come in and create a complete train wreck and then go off and work somewhere else.
Yeah, just
So
get the ratings.
yeah, they don't care as long as they're making their money.
All right, I'm gonna go refill my drink, you guys. I do have a weather resource and a weather fool. You guys can figure out the rest. I'll be right back.
I have one of each. Ooh.
Okay. Phil and Dina, anybody else for a resource?
Okay.
It's a good yawn.
I know.
Is anyone going to save James Spann's Twitter account? Because maybe I'll say that.
Oh,
Yeah. No, you go ahead.
Resource, yeah.
I won't say that.
Good. Hey, speaking of transient, are you in your house now, Brady?
Yes.
Okay. Because you were like, where are you? I'm in Europe now.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. I was.
globe trotting.
I'll be in. Oh, it's a good thing actually. We won't be broadcasting next week. I'll be in Florida next week. But
You're
Next
just
week,
such a world traveler.
the space station.
I've only been across the ocean once, so I'm not. I wouldn't really say I'm a world traveler.
You've got time. You got to work for an airline. I worked for an airline for a long time. That's how you travel the world, and it's free.
Hey, I interviewed at Southwest. They were pretty. It was a pretty cool environment. But that was my first interview ever, and I blew it.
Oh,
It was so bad. I was like a sophomore in high school, and it was just I just blew it.
You didn't cry, did you? You didn't cry in the
No.
interview, right?
But
Then you didn't blow it.
So they flew me out there, right? And then but the flight was like at 5 a.m. So it was just ridiculous. I get there, I don't interview till like 6 p.m. I'm just like sitting around forever. And I was just, really tired. I was really excited, but I was too excited. And then, when they asked me, how do you do on a team? And I meant to say that I like to collaborate with people and I like to contribute my own opinion. Instead, I said I like to get my way. and it was the apps. And I literally stopped and I was like, wait, could I let me take that back. I literally said that.
Sound
Like,
resigned.
oh my God.
Brady. Brady, that's like wearing "I love cats" T-shirts to your interview.
Yes, I should have done that.
God.
I mean, so yeah, it was brutal. I learned a ton from that experience, but my
You know what,
God.
though? I look at those things like, if it's meant to be that way, really.
Yeah. Although the buddy passes would have been nice.
The buddy passes are nice. I traveled all over the world when I worked for the airlines.
But
Of
now,
course, I didn't have any money when I got there, but that's when you go with like 5 people and you all shove in one hotel room.
Yeah.
but now you're not free to move about the country.
No,
I'm
not so
not.
much. I'm not free to go to Target. I got little kids and I work, and I'm lucky to get to Target by myself.
Brady, your story reminds me of Monty Python on the Holy Grail. What's your favorite color?
Oh yeah.
No green.
But you got to think of it that way, Brady. Maybe it wasn't meant to be.
Oh yeah. I wasn't too bummed because I actually got the internship with AccuWeather out of that. So
Nice, good.
it turned into something good. But
All
right. So do we know everybody who's got what?
I've got one
Did
of
you
each.
figure that out while I was gone? I've got one of each. And that's
So
it.
it's just me and
Okay.
Phil, huh?
Yep. We'll go ladies first on that one.
Are you sharing your screen, Dina? You can. That's fine. I've stopped being the screen Nazi.
I know you were mad. I was only joking.
No, I wasn't. I'm fine. I'm fine with that. We'll just,
not for
I'll
weather
remind everybody to
resource.
explain what they're showing, and we'll be good.
Not for weather resource, but maybe for
Okay.
weather fools.
Okay.
Who's got Brady? Do you know who's got weather fools?
yeah, Phil and Dina.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should ask that question. every
I'm
time.
looking for
Matt,
a weather
you know
fool
who's got-
right now.
It's
right.
the Phil and Dina show.
So we'll come into Maz with some crowd applause too. I'll throw that in there. Ready to roll?
Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, let's do it.
All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yes. Welcome back. Welcome back. I will tell you, if you're not watching us on Raw, you're missing lots of stuff. I'm just saying. Okay, well, welcome back. Time now for WX Resources, the places you can go to find out new, interesting, fascinating information, weather technology, anything like that. We're going to start off ladies first. Dina, what's your weather resource for tonight?
All right. I thought this was pretty good. And this is like maybe for people who are just starting in weather and learning how to read a METAR, which is mainly your hourly report. It's under the Aviation Weather Center, and it's a long website. So just check episode 57 show notes, but it's under aviationweather.gov. And mainly what it is you can put an ID for a station in. Like for here in Atlanta, it would be like KFFC for Peachtree City. And you get the actual METAR, which is coded, and people have to learn how to read it, but it decodes the whole thing underneath it. So that's what's cool. And it's not, it's not a lot to explain, but if you're trying to learn METARs and you want it decoded for you, Aviation Weather Center is what you got.
Does it have like a key code or what is it when you say below it?
Like it's just like a list. So you say you want the METAR for Peachtree City, you type in the code, like the KFFC, which is Peachtree City. It will actually show you the whole METAR, which would be like, and you've got like say 130153Z. Well, what is all that, and how to read the temperature, but below it'll say temperature 76 degrees Fahrenheit or 24.4 degrees Celsius. Okay. And then below that, it gives you the dew point and the pressure and the winds and all that. So it helps you for learning if you're trying to learn how to read a METAR.
Cool.
Easy.
Yeah, I like it. All right.
I could have used that on my exam in college.
Yeah, I mean, this would have been great because, I learned more surface essays than METARs, and a lot of things decode for you anyway, but you've got to learn if you're a student, and I kind of like that.
Oh, yeah, we had to decode. It was on tests. We'd have a METAR report, and we'd have to decode it. I was like, oh, my God, this is brutal.
Well, there's plenty of websites that just Googled any kind of like decoder. Whether it's METAR,
couldn't during the test. I couldn't during the test.
But like if you're training, like anything for hurricane data, it'll all decode.
Brady, you could have used that on your job interview. I'm just saying.
Oh my! I
could have used a little alcohol in my job interview. Calm the nerves a little bit. Jeez.
What do you like, Arthur? I'm ready for the job.
I remember that movie.
All right, Phil, what do you have?
Well, I have got from the American Meteorological Society, the good old AMS. They issued an information statement recently for weather safety at venues and public gatherings. So very helpful. We'll have the website link there in our show notes. But one of the uniquenesses to this is especially if you are responsible for anything that goes on outside. Maybe you are a coach or a league director of some sports league, outdoor sports league. Maybe you are in charge of some camps this summer that are held outside. Maybe you have a job that works for, Parks and Rec, or for example, like myself, I work at a university athletic department. This is very important because not only does it kind of set the standards for severe weather at outdoor events and actions to take and standards to follow. But part of this little information resource is they provide other resources and links to things like they have the Lightning Safety Toolkit. They have access to Event Safety Guide authored by the Event Safety Alliance. Best practices and guides provided by the National Center for Spectator Sports Safety and Security. All kinds of other resources on there to check and certainly help you with safety for your outdoor group that you might be responsible for, and certainly help you with litigation if you are following these particular standards.
Man, umpires, I will tell you, they all need to go. I've been to games where I'm like, did you not see and hear that?
Yeah, my God.
Boom.
Yes.
Good grief. And parents, they ought to say something when that happens. Sorry, not to get on the soapbox, but somebody's got to say something. All right, that was a good one. I like that, Phil. All right, so in case you missed where you can find that information, you can check us out on stormfrontfreaks.com, episode 57 show notes, and we will have all the links to those locations. All right, Brady, I know you want to say it.
All right, guys. You know what, Maz? That was great. That was great weather resources. But I'm going to transition now to the Weather Fools. It's everyone's favorite part of the show, where us as the freaks are going out on the internet. We're going out on Twitter. We're going out on YouTube. Whatever social media platform, what you guys have. Snapchat. I don't do that nowadays. But We're looking for videos. We're looking for tweets that, are just not very smart. They're stupid. They're weather fools. We're looking for those types of people. We're going to bring those to you live here on the show. Phil, who is your weather fool this week?
All right, so I'm going to start this off. Mine, unfortunately, is going to be a little somber. So you guys know, I mean, this has been a great little segment. It gives us an opportunity to have fun, poke at people that are just doing outrageously stupid things in weather situations, Brady, as you talked about. However, sometimes that leads to unfortunate things. And so what I'm going to share tonight is actually a situation where it took someone's life. This was earlier this month in Des Moines, Iowa. They had some flash flooding, and there was a sports radio host. Actually, the individual was an announcer and radio host for Drake University, which is actually where I went to graduate school. And he had been with Drake University for a number of years, but unfortunately, he tried driving through a flooded area. It says witnesses told police that he was swept away as he got out of his stalled van, and he was found nearly 4 hours later, several blocks away. So when we talk about weather fools, and we poke fun, and I'm even wearing a shirt tonight that says, only you can prevent weather fools. That's really the truth. Is you can. These are all decisions, and these decisions can be made to prevent life from being taken away, and you're the one that can prevent it. And so we do have fun with this. We do poke fun at people doing stupid stuff, but part of it is also as an awareness piece to say, hey, don't do this stuff. And just to share with you, this was an example of, unfortunately, what can happen when you do that, because it can take your life.
Yeah, that's sad. And I think, Phil, you kind of read my mind, honestly. I usually let Dina go next, but I'm going to go next because mine's along the same lines. This is, my weather for this week. So there were 15 soldiers down in, you guys may have seen this, in Fort Jackson, which, and they were at a U.S. Army base, and they were out on a run, and there was a thunderstorm, and, lightning struck near them, and they were all hospitalized. Thankfully, they were all okay. But, they're still in the hospital. And I want to show a picture too for those that are watching, because really, lightning can strike up to 5 to 10 miles away from a storm. This was for those that are on Raw, and I'll post this picture as well. This was a storm down in Florida.
Wow,
can you guys see that?
That's incredible.
I mean, I saw this on Twitter today. I mean, this is lightning. Lightning can, just because it's not raining, and just because you don't see a cloud above your head does not mean lightning cannot strike where you are. 5 to 10 miles is the general range. So, you really have to abide by when thunder roars, go indoors, be safe, people, because stuff like this can happen. I mean, this happened yesterday. So it's very, very important, like Phil said, to take this stuff seriously, because, weather is dangerous. It's interesting. We all love it, but Mother Nature can be very, very dangerous. So on a lighter note, yeah, go ahead.
Was that 5 miles away? Is that what you said? How far it went to?
I don't know how far that was away. But
I've heard a lot farther too, and it could go underground.
Because you really wouldn't hear it. Probably the sound would eventually kind of muffle itself out at that kind of distance.
Yeah, I mean, 5 to 10 miles is generally what they say.
But I've heard lots. I've heard even farther.
Oh yeah,
and that was a good example too. That was a good example, though. You could see that it was that lightning strike, even though it came from the thunderhead, was nowhere, under.
It did not come straight down.
Storm cloud.
That's an incredible
storm
picture,
cloud
Brady.
shot that thing. Yeah.
And I took, when I was down in Florida last year, I took a picture not like that. I mean, it was similar in the lightning strike was just way outside of the thunderstorm. So you just got to be careful of that kind of stuff. So, all right. On a lighter note, Dina, your weather fool. Hopefully, it's something funny. We need cheered up here, Dina.
It is, and this one, it's mainly like it's this guy. He's surfing this monster wave. This thing is huge, and it actually just consumes him. And it's so big, and it reminds me of that Lord. When Patrick Swayze went into that
Point Break.
Yeah, Point Break. This
Woohoo!
was so
Look at-
big.
Look at how
And-
small that is.
And this video, you got to
Yeah,
look
he
at
is.
it because he's so tiny on this monster wave, and it overtakes him. And I've watched it a couple times, I've tried to hold my breath that long. I can't even hold my breath that long. And luckily, you see him come up at the end because I wouldn't have shown it if he had died. But at the end, you see all these like wave runners coming out to see if he's okay. But this looks like it's a couple stories high.
Oh yeah,
Easily.
It's
Easily, yeah.
insane.
it looks like the wave from Lord of the Rings when it consumes
Yeah.
those horses on the first one. I mean, it's just crazy. It's massive.
Yeah.
Where was that?
I want to say what is
looks
this?
like a North
Marcelo
Shore.
Luna. I don't know where that is, but
I don't either.
I don't know where. We'd have to Google. But you could see at the end, he's like raising his hand, and the wave runners are out there. But that was
I'm
the
not
like,
quite dead yet.
and I couldn't have held my breath that long because he had to be spinning and everything
yeah.
over there.
Big
You
time.
had to come up with water up your nose. That's
Big
for
time.
sure.
For sure.
Yeah, a little bit.
Another case, man. Mother Nature, she is brutal.
Yeah.
You gotta take her seriously, people. So that was good. We had some good weather fools this week. We're gonna post all of those on our website at stormfrontfreaks.com. Look under the show 57 show notes. Phil, what do we got next?
Well, I don't know. We'll see if we have MJ. We have any listener questions and responses this week?
We've got a couple.
Okay.
Yeah, so JLP 329, whoever, but thank you, gave us a 5-star rating
Yay,
on
thanks, buddy.
iTunes. Yeah,
Awesome.
and they said, I thoroughly enjoy this podcast. I'm a weather enthusiast with a limited science background. I have learned so much by listening during my morning and evening commutes and have had lots of laughs in the process. I highly recommend the Freaks.
Woohoo!
So
Nice.
Thanks, buddy.
He wants swag.
I mean, apparently, I don't know who it is. So, and then I want to share just a couple of things from our viewers tonight. Josh says, "Great show, thank you," and was participating in the chat this evening. And Kyle, I thought this was appropriate because of some of the things that we talked about and that James talked about. He says, "Love the show. I'm heading off to school for meteorology this August."
Oh,
Nice.
And your podcast plus some others are just making me even more excited than I already am, entertaining and informative. So good luck, Kyle, this fall.
hey,
You
good
can
luck,
do
buddy.
it.
If you're going to Ohio State, Kyle, say hi to Dr. Hopgood.
Yeah,
That's right.
we love Hobgood.
So that's what we got tonight.
Very
Thanks,
good.
everybody.
Very good. Well, hey, that just about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast. As always, thanks for listening and watching if that's the case. Before I share the reveal of our next guest, if you do enjoy the show, do us a favor and leave us a great review on your podcast app like JLP.
JLP 329.
There we go. Just like they did on Apple Podcasts. Leave a great review. And don't forget to subscribe to the show. All you have to do is on your podcast app, if you're listening to us on your phone or whatever, all you got to do is there's a subscribe button. And you can do this right now. Just look at it, hit the subscribe button. All that does is just make sure that you don't have to try and find us. Next time we have a show that we get released, you'll have it show up in your podcast app right away, just like a newspaper or magazine subscription. So don't forget to subscribe. Special thanks to our guest tonight, James Spann.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Yeah, he was outstanding. And our next episode in 2 weeks, we'll be recording on July 26th with popular storm chaser and musician Hank Skyma, also known as Pecos Hank. So that ought to be a good one. If you'd like to watch the recording live, it's at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check out our YouTube channel by searching Stormfront Freaks. You'll find us all right there. So for MJ, Maz, Brady, and Dina, I'm going to go ahead and signal the all clear, and we will catch you guys next time. All right, good night, everybody. All right, guys. Good
Here
job.
we are.
That
was
was
a good
great.
show.
Yeah.
That was a good show.
Spann was awesome.
Yeah, he
Yeah, he
was. You could tell he does this. He could talk.
He's a mover and shaker, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
4 hours sleep.
I don't know how he does it.
That's
I wanted to
nuts.
ask. Wait a minute. Let's see. When do you get to see Karen again? That's his wife, Karen.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, holy cow.
Because otherwise, you're going to crash.
They got to do some weird stuff in front of that chroma key screen you got, I think, probably. That's how they're keeping their marriage alive.
He was saying it's
Wait, should I stop the broadcast?
Whoa.
No, that's good. That's good for Raw. That's good stuff.
That's a good blooper.
We keep the chroma key upstairs. Wait a minute.
That's right, upstairs.
But that's great. He could do all that.
kinds of
from
fun
home.
backgrounds. Yeah, they got all kinds of
there
fun
you go.
backgrounds. Yeah,
Everywhere. You can.
that's right. Keeping the marriage alive all over the world and in space.
Also, Phil, I
How
have
many drinks have you had, Phil?
Yeah, probably a lot.
Not enough. Not enough.
Phil, I've got my professional headshot appointment coming up, so that'll be coming soon.
When
Oh,
is
you
that
got a
coming?
professional one?
No, no.
I did mine in front of my bedroom wall.
Did you? Yours, Dina, yours was good. Maz was good. It was just, you could tell yours was a selfie because it was kind of close. It was like, hi, I'm mad. Hi, cookies.
Which is how we like it.
No,
So do you want a full body shot or what are we talking?
No, not full body. Just not just your face. Like get a little bit of shoulder.
Not
in
like-
there.
some chest hair,
Yeah,
you know.
not like your nose touching the lens.
Bueller.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was good lighting. I'll give you that. It was good lighting.
Thank you.
And Dina, like her hair is so long. She sent picture and it's incredible. Here, I'm gonna pull it up because for whatever reason I never knew
see
your
it.
hair was so freaking
It's
long.
growing long now, though.
It is amazing. So I'm gonna share a screen here.
Locks of love. Locks of love.
It's so hot right now. Oh,
How
Look
hot
at
is
that.
it?
Did you know
Wow,
your hair was
gosh.
that long?
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Who knew?
the
My
humidity
goodness.
kills it, though.
That's
Luckily-
great
I
hair.
just didn't know. I didn't know it was that long. That's
A great pick.
Thanks.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I took
can-
that. I put it on, those fans that set on the floor that are high. I set it on the back of the fan. I timed it for 10 seconds, and I went,
your own glamour shot.
yeah, I
It
know.
looks professional. It does.
Hey, I tried.
That was good.
It is. I gotta
You got
step
the
mine.
fan blower?
I gotta step mine up then.
No,
Holy cow.
I mean, the
Yeah, you
fan was
do.
pointing the other way because I had it
okay.
on the motor and leaning against the back of the fan.
Phil, how about this? I give you my word. Next week, I'm going to get a picture in front of a lightning bolt going like this.
It's got
Next week.
no
Oh, he's going to be a little
solid
lower.
background.
It's going to be night, and it's going to be great.
No, here's what I need. No. I need it sooner than that. Number one.
Oh.
Number two, I need it in daylight so that your face doesn't have shadows all over the place.
Okay.
And number three, a solid background.
Okay.
Because here's what's happening, guys. So Gabe Cox, we had him on. He's with the Tornado Trackers.
Yep.
So we had him on once. He's one of the guys that sent in one of the new songs for us. The drinking in the background and the sirens and the all that kind of cool stuff. He's agreed to actually do our video intro and outro as well because he's got skills to pay the bills in that area.
Skills to
And,
pay the bills. That's
bills.
awesome.
Skills to pay the bills. So he's gonna actually do the video. He just asked for headshots. So I don't know what cool stuff he might do with them, but keep it solid background, simple. Because he might cut it out and put lightning in the background or automatically. I don't know, but
Cool.
Should I
Brady,
send
you
him?
got a
get it to
whole
me,
wall
the
back
sooner I can
behind
get
you.
it done.
Should I send him some of my clips from college? Do you think he'll want those too? We should, Matt, send him some of your clips. You know what? I've never seen a clip of you. You're gonna have to send that.
Yeah.
Is that on the internet?
It's probably
Ah!
No, Maz, I need a clip. I need a clip of you, and I need to see it. All right.
Yeah.
man. It's probably
Doing the
3/4
weather.
inch
Do you have
tape.
any weather clips on YouTube?
Me?
No, Maz.
Oh.
Do I have what?
Any weather clip of you doing the weather on YouTube?
Somewhere.
Got
I've
anything
got
floating around
boxes
on
of
there?
stuff from underneath in the garage somewhere.
No,
That
but
wouldn't
find
be on
it.
YouTube.
like
Find
something
it.
on
Need a resource. We need to do
Not-
this for a weather
not an
resource.
8mm
or something.
film.
Super 8.
Super 8. Yeah, Super 8.
Maz, you know what? My birthday is coming.